The blood on her clinic's door wasn't from an animal. Maya Collins knew that before she even saw the man who'd left it there. She stood frozen in the parking lot, keys dangling from her hand, rain soaking through her jacket. The crimson handprint smeared across the glass door of Paws and Claws veterinary clinic gleamed under the streetlight. Too high for a dog, too deliberate for an accident. Human blood. Every instinct screamed at her to get in her car and drive away. Call the police. Let someone else handle whatever nightmare had just walked into her life. But Maya had spent the last 3 years building this clinic from nothing, pouring her savings and her soul into every square foot. She couldn't just leave. Her hand trembled as she pulled out her phone, thumb hovering over 911. Then she heard it. A low groan from the shadows beside the dumpster, rough with pain and barely human. Maya's heart hammered against her ribs. She took one step forward, then another, her veterinarian instincts overriding common sense. Someone was hurt. That was all that mattered. The man lay crumpled against the brick wall, half hidden in darkness. Even from 10 feet away, she could see the dark stain spreading across his white shirt, black in the dim light. His hand pressed against his side, applying pressure like someone who knew what they were doing. This wasn't some random drunk. This was someone trained, someone dangerous. "Hey," Maya called softly, her voice barely audible over the rain. "Can you hear me?" His head lifted slowly, and steel-gray eyes locked onto hers with an intensity that stopped her breath. He was handsome in a devastating way. Strong jaw, dark hair plastered to his forehead, features that belonged in a movie rather than collapsed behind a veterinary clinic at midnight. "Go inside," he managed, his voice rough gravel. "Lock the door. Call no one." "You're bleeding." "I'm aware." He tried to shift position and couldn't suppress a hiss of pain. "Please, just go. Forget you saw me." Maya should have listened. Should have run. But she'd spent years making split-second decisions in emergencies, choosing between life and death with nothing but her training and her instincts. This was just another emergency. "Can you walk?" she asked, already moving to his side. "You need to leave." "Can you walk?" she repeated, firmer this time. "Because if you can't, I'm calling an ambulance. And something tells me you don't want that." Their eyes met, and she watched him assess her, calculate, decide. "I can walk," he said finally. Maya ducked under his arm, taking as much of his weight as her 5'6" frame could manage. He was massive, 6'2" at least, solid muscle that outweighed her by 80 pounds. But she'd hauled Great Danes onto exam tables. She could handle this. "This is a mistake," he said, as she half-dragged him toward the back entrance. "Probably," Maya agreed, fumbling with her keys. "But you'll be alive to regret it." She got the door open and maneuvered him inside, hitting the lights with her elbow. The bright fluorescence revealed the full extent of the damage. Blood covered his left side, seeping through his fingers where he pressed against his ribs. A cut above his eyebrow dripped red down his temple. His knuckles were split and swollen, scraped raw. He'd been in a fight, and from the looks of it, he'd won. "Exam room 2, Maya directed, helping him toward her largest treatment space. "Sit on the table. This is for animals. You need stitches, and I have a needle and thread." She met his gaze steadily. "Unless you'd prefer to bleed out while we debate medical licensing, I suggest you cooperate." A ghost of a smile crossed his face, transforming his features from dangerous to devastating. "Yes, ma'am." Maya washed her hands with practiced efficiency, pulling on fresh gloves and gathering supplies: gauze, antiseptic, suture kit, local anesthetic. Her hands had stopped shaking. This was familiar territory. Assess the damage, stop the bleeding, close the wound. "Shirt off," she ordered. He complied slowly, and Maya's breath caught. Not at the sculpted muscles or the scattered scars that marked his torso, though both were notable, but at the wound itself. A clean slice along his ribcage, about 4 inches long. Deep, but precise. A knife wound. "What happened?" she asked, carefully cleaning the area around the cut. "You don't want to know." "Someone tried to kill you." "Someone tried." He watched her inject local anesthetic around the wound, not flinching. They failed. Maya worked in focused silence, her stitches small and neat. Years of closing surgical incisions had made her steady, precise. He watched her with those unsettling gray eyes, studying her face like he was memorizing every detail. "What's your name?" he asked quietly. "Maya. Maya." The way he said it sent an unexpected shiver down her spine. "I'm Dominic." "Nice to meet you. Dominic." She tied off another stitch. Under less bloody circumstances would have been preferable. "Agreed." She finished the last suture and taped a gauze pad over the wound. "You need antibiotics, rest, and probably a real hospital." "Can't do that." "Why not?" Dominic carefully pulled his ruined shirt back on, wincing at the movement. When he looked at her again, something had shifted in his expression. The careful distance was gone, replaced by something darker, more possessive. "Because the people who did this will be looking for me in hospitals, emergency rooms, urgent care centers." He stood, testing his balance. "And now that you've helped me, they might look here too." Fear, cold and sharp, cut through Maya's chest. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying you saved my life tonight." "Maya Collins?" His eyes dropped to the name embroidered on her jacket, then back to her face. "And now I need to save yours." "I don't need—" "Yes, you do." He moved closer, and Maya was suddenly aware of how much space he occupied, how the air seemed to shift around him. "Those men won't stop looking for me. And when they find out you patched me up, when they realize I came here, they'll come back." "To my clinic?" "To you." The weight of what she'd done, what she'd inadvertently stepped into, crashed over her like ice water. Her hands started shaking again, all the adrenaline draining away to leave pure terror in its wake. "Hey." Dominic's hand came up to cup her chin, tilting her face toward his. The gesture was gentle, despite his calloused fingers. "Breathe, Maya. I've got you. You don't even know me. I know you're brave enough to help a bleeding stranger in a dark parking lot. I know you put yourself at risk to do what you thought was right." His thumb brushed across her cheekbone, and she realized tears had started falling. "I know you're worth protecting. This is insane." "Yes." His smile was soft, almost tender. "But you're mine to protect now. Those men made it personal the moment they followed me here." Maya wanted to argue, wanted to tell him she could handle herself, that she didn't need some dangerous stranger appointing himself her guardian. But before she could find the words, the clinic's front window exploded inward with a deafening crash. Maya's scream died in her throat as Dominic moved with inhuman speed. One moment she stood frozen by the exam table. The next she was on the floor with his body covering hers completely, glass raining down around them like deadly confetti. His weight pressed her into the cold tile, solid and immovable. She could feel his heart beating against her back, steady and controlled despite the chaos erupting around them. "Stay down," he commanded, his voice utterly calm. "Don't move! Don't make a sound!" The barking started immediately. 3 dogs in the recovery kennels, their alarm echoing through the clinic. Mr. Whiskers added his yowling protest from the cat ward. But Maya barely heard them over the blood rushing in her ears. This wasn't happening. This couldn't be happening. "How many?" Dominic called out, and Maya realized with shock that he wasn't talking to her. 3 in the street, 1 moving around back. The response came from outside, male and authoritative. Deep voice, military precision. Dominic had backup. He'd had backup this entire time. "Marcus, secure the rear exit. I've got a civilian inside." Dominic shifted slightly, and Maya felt rather than saw him reach beneath his jacket. When his hand emerged, it held a gun that definitely hadn't been visible before. Or maybe it had been, and she'd been too focused on his bleeding to notice she was stitching up an armed man. "You have a gun," Maya whispered, her voice barely audible. "I have several." He rose to a crouch with fluid grace that shouldn't have been possible for someone who'd just been stitched up. Keeping himself between her and the shattered window, he scanned the darkness outside with professional efficiency. "Can you crawl to the back office?" "The animals. We'll be fine if you stay alive. Move, Maya, now." The steel in his voice got her moving. She crawled across the floor on her hands and knees, feeling glass crunch beneath her palms, even through her jacket. Rain poured through the broken window, turning the floor slick. Her breath came in short gasps that fogged in the cold October air, now flooding the clinic. Behind her, Dominic moved like a shadow, gun trained on the window, his injured side seemingly forgotten. Whatever pain he'd been in before had vanished, replaced by cold focus. They reached her small office, barely more than a closet with a desk and filing cabinet. Dominic positioned her behind the desk and crouched beside her, his body still forming a barrier between her and the door. "Who are these people?" Maya managed, her voice shaking. "People I took something from." "What did you take?" "Their sense of security." His eyes never left the hallway. "Stay here. Don't move. Don't make a sound. Don't come out no matter what you hear. Understand?" Maya nodded, not trusting her voice. Dominic's hand came up to cup her face, forcing her to meet his gaze. "I mean it, Maya. Whatever happens out there, you stay hidden. Promise me." "I promise." "Good girl." The words sent an unexpected flush of heat through her, despite the circumstances. Then he was gone, slipping back into the hallway with the silence of a predator. Maya pressed herself against the desk, wrapping her arms around her knees. She could hear voices now, sharp, clipped exchanges in a language she didn't recognize. Then Dominic's voice, low and dangerous, speaking the same language with native fluency. A gunshot cracked through the air, and Maya bit down on her hand to keep from screaming. More voices, running footsteps, another shot, this one farther away. The dogs went crazy, their barking reaching a fever pitch. Then silence, heavy and terrible. Minutes crawled by like hours. Maya's heart hammered so loudly she was certain anyone within a mile could hear it. She thought about her phone, still in her jacket pocket. Should she call the police? But what would she tell them? That a man she'd illegally treated was now defending her clinic against unknown attackers. She'd lose her license, probably face criminal charges. Her clinic, everything she'd worked for, would be destroyed. The office door opened, and Maya nearly screamed before she recognized Dominic's silhouette. "It's over," he said quietly, offering her his hand. "They're gone." Maya took his hand, warm, steady, strong, and let him pull her to her feet. Her legs trembled, threatening to give out, but his grip steadied her. He led her back into the main clinic. The destruction was worse than she'd imagined. The front window was completely gone, rain pouring freely through the opening. Glass covered every surface, glittering like scattered diamonds under the fluorescent lights. Water pooled on the floor, mixing with mud tracked in from outside. A man stood near the entrance, watching the street with the same professional intensity as Dominic. He was built like a linebacker. Dark-skinned with close-cropped hair and an earpiece that probably cost more than her car. When he turned, his eyes swept over Maya with assessment before softening slightly. "All clear, boss." They scattered when backup arrived. His voice was the one she'd heard earlier, deep, authoritative, military. "No casualties on our side." "And theirs?" "2 down. 1 wounded, but mobile. He won't get far." Marcus's gaze returned to Maya. "You must be the doc who patched up this stubborn bastard." "Veterinarian," Maya corrected automatically, then wondered why that distinction mattered when her clinic looked like a war zone. Marcus's lips twitched. "Marcus Webb. Wish we were meeting under better circumstances." "Maya Collins, and I wish your associates hadn't just destroyed my business." "Not our associates," Dominic said, his voice hardening. "Our enemies." Maya turned to face him fully, anger finally breaking through her shock, her hands clenched into fists at her sides. "Then tell me who they are. Tell me what the hell is going on. You owe me that much." Dominic exchanged a glance with Marcus, who gave a subtle nod before stepping outside to give them privacy. The rain continued its assault through the broken window, but neither of them moved to escape it. "I run a private security company," Dominic began. "Kane Security Solutions. We provide executive protection, intelligence gathering, threat assessment, and tactical response for high-value clients. You're a bodyguard." "I'm the man people call when bodyguards aren't enough." He moved to the window, scanning the empty street with eyes that missed nothing. When someone needs protection from threats the police can't or won't handle, they come to me. And those men? 3 months ago, I took on a client, a federal prosecutor building a case against a trafficking ring operating out of Vancouver. Human trafficking, mostly young women from Asia and Eastern Europe. His jaw tightened. The organization didn't appreciate our interference. Maya's stomach turned. So they came after you. They've been trying to kill me for 6 weeks. Tonight they got closer than usual. He turned back to face her, and something in his expression made her breath catch. I was leaving a meeting downtown when they ambushed me. 3 men, professional-grade weapons. I eliminated 2 of them, but the third got his knife in before I could react. Eliminated. The word felt heavy in her mouth. You mean killed? Yes. The simple honesty of it should have terrified her. This man, this dangerous, composed man, had killed people. Tonight. Hours ago. And she'd brought him into her clinic, stitched him up, let him touch her face with those same hands. You should be running right now, Dominic said, reading her expression with uncomfortable accuracy. Most people would be. I should call the police. You could. He took a step closer, and Maya forced herself not to retreat. But then you'd have to explain why you treated a stabbing victim without reporting it, why you let an armed man into your clinic, why you didn't call 911 the moment you saw blood on your door. So I'm trapped. No. Another step, closing the distance between them until she had to tilt her head back to maintain eye contact. You're protected. There's a difference. I don't want your protection. I want my normal life back. Your normal life ended the moment you decided to help me. His hand came up to cup her cheek, and Maya's traitorous body leaned into the touch. Those men saw you, Maya. They might not know your name yet, but they will. And when they find out you saved my life, they'll come back to finish what they started. The reality of it hit her like a physical blow. She'd helped him out of instinct, out of her healer's oath to do no harm. And now she was a target. I'm sorry, Dominic said, and the genuine regret in his voice nearly broke her. I should have kept walking, should have bled out in that alley rather than drag you into this. But I'm not sorry you saved me. And I won't apologize for what I'm about to do. What are you about to do? Keep you alive. His thumb brushed across her cheekbone, wiping away tears she hadn't realized were falling. You're under my protection now, Maya Collins, whether you want it or not. Before she could respond, Marcus appeared in the doorway, his face grim. Boss, we've got a problem. What kind of problem? Marcus's eyes flicked to Maya, then back to Dominic. They just hit her apartment, Maya's apartment. They'd gone to her apartment. The words echoed in her head, refusing to make sense. Her home, the small 1-bedroom she'd rented for 4 years, with the window boxes she'd planted with herbs and the neighbors who knew her name. Violated, searched, destroyed. How bad? Dominic asked, his voice perfectly controlled while Maya's world crumbled. Marcus pulled up something on his phone, showed it to Dominic. Whatever he saw made his jaw tighten, a muscle ticking in his cheek. Bad enough, they were looking for something. Or someone. They were looking for me, Maya whispered. They know where I live. Not anymore. Dominic pocketed his phone and turned to her with absolute certainty in his eyes. Marcus, get a cleanup crew here for the clinic, board up the window, secure the animals, and post 2 men outside until morning. I want full surveillance. On it. Marcus was already moving, speaking rapidly into his phone in that clipped, efficient way. Dominic's attention returned to Maya. Pack a bag. Essentials only. We're leaving in 5 minutes. Leaving? The word came out strangled. I can't just leave. The animals need care. I have appointments tomorrow. I have a life. You have enemies now. He stepped closer, his presence overwhelming in the small space. And they know where you sleep, where you work, probably where you buy your coffee and where your mother lives. Maya's blood ran cold. My mother? Portland, right? Retired teacher, lives in a blue house on Maple Street? At her shocked expression, he continued. I know everything about you, Maya. Had Marcus run a background check while you were stitching me up. It's what I do. I gather information, assess threats, eliminate vulnerabilities. You investigated me. Anger flared through her fear. You had no right. I had every right the moment I decided to let you help me. His voice dropped to something quieter, almost gentle. I needed to know if you were a threat, if you were working with them, if you had anyone I needed to protect along with you. Along with me, Maya repeated. You keep saying that like I agreed to this. You agreed when you pulled me inside instead of calling the police, when you stitched me up instead of letting me bleed out. Whether you meant to or not, you chose a side tonight. He moved even closer, and Maya found herself backed against the exam table. Now I'm choosing to keep you alive, so pack a bag, or I'll carry you out of here with nothing but the clothes on your back. The certainty in his voice told her he wasn't bluffing. Fine! Maya pushed past him, heading for the small locker room where she kept a change of clothes. But this doesn't mean I trust you. Trust comes later. Right now, I just need you to survive. 10 minutes later, Maya sat in the passenger seat of a black SUV with windows so dark she could barely see out. Marcus drove with the same controlled efficiency he seemed to apply to everything, while Dominic sat in the back, phone pressed to his ear, speaking in rapid-fire sentences that sounded like battle strategy, which she supposed it was. The city lights blurred past as they drove north, away from downtown Seattle. Maya watched her clinic disappear in the side mirror, wondering if she'd ever see it the same way again, if it would ever feel safe. "Where are we going?" she asked when the silence became unbearable. "Somewhere they can't reach you," Marcus replied. "Boss has a place up in the mountains. Secure perimeter, state-of-the-art surveillance, enough firepower to hold off a small army. That's supposed to make me feel better? It should. Most people would kill to have Dominic Kane's protection." Maya glanced back at Dominic, who'd finished his call and was now watching her with those penetrating gray eyes. "And what does Dominic Kane's protection cost?" "Nothing you're not willing to give," he said quietly. The SUV climbed higher into the Cascade foothills, leaving the city behind. Rain continued to fall, turning to mist as they gained elevation. After nearly an hour of driving, Marcus turned onto a private road marked only by a small reflector. The driveway wound through dense forest for another 10 minutes before opening into a clearing. Maya's breath caught. The house, if it could be called that, was more fortress than home. Modern architecture blended with natural stone and timber, 3 stories of glass and steel that somehow managed to look both elegant and impenetrable. Security lights illuminated the perimeter, and she could see cameras mounted at strategic intervals. "Welcome to Raven's Peak," Dominic said, climbing out of the SUV. "It's not much, but it's defendable." "Not much?" Maya stared at the mansion before her. "This place probably costs more than my entire neighborhood." "Security isn't cheap." He offered his hand to help her down. "Neither is privacy." Inside was even more impressive. The main floor was open concept, all soaring ceilings and floor-to-ceiling windows that overlooked the valley below. Despite the modern design, it felt warm. Leather furniture, soft lighting, a stone fireplace that dominated one wall. Definitely lived in, not just a safe house. "Guest room is upstairs, second door on the left," Dominic said, shrugging out of his jacket. The movement made him wince slightly, reminding Maya that he'd been stabbed less than 3 hours ago. "Bathroom's en suite. There's clothes in the closet that should fit. Help yourself to anything you need." "Clothes that will fit me?" Maya turned to face him. "Do you make a habit of bringing women here?" "I make a habit of being prepared." He moved to the kitchen, pulling out a bottle of whiskey and 2 glasses. "My sister stays here sometimes." "You're about her size." Sister. The word humanized him in a way nothing else had. This dangerous, lethal man had family, people he cared about enough to keep clothes for. "Does she know what you do?" Maya asked. "She knows I protect people." He poured 2 fingers of whiskey into each glass, slid one across the counter to her. "She doesn't know all the details. Some things are better kept separate." Maya took the glass but didn't drink. "And your parents?" "Dead." The word was flat, emotionless. Car accident when I was 19. Drunk driver ran a red light, killed them both instantly. I'm sorry. Don't be. It was a long time ago. But something flickered in his eyes. Old pain, carefully controlled. It's why I do what I do. Because the system failed them. Failed to keep a drunk off the road. Failed to punish him adequately afterward. So now, I work outside the system. He drained his whiskey in one swallow, set the glass down with deliberate precision. Get some rest, Maya. Tomorrow we figure out how to end this. End this how? By making sure the people who came after you tonight never get the chance to do it again. His eyes met hers, and the lethal promise in them sent a shiver down her spine. You're mine to protect now, and I don't lose what's mine. There was that word again. Mine. Possessive and absolute, spoken like a vow. Maya should have been terrified, should have demanded he take her to the police, to a real safe house, to anywhere but here with this dangerous man who'd killed people and spoke about it like discussing the weather. But standing in his fortress, seeing the way he looked at her, like she was something precious that needed guarding, she felt something else entirely. She felt safe. Thank you, she said quietly, for protecting me. Even though this is your fault. A ghost of a smile crossed his face. Get some sleep. We'll argue about fault in the morning. Maya headed upstairs, found the guest room exactly where he'd said. It was beautiful. King-sized bed with soft linens, modern furniture, those same floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the forest. She pulled out clothes from the closet, found yoga pants and a soft sweater that fit perfectly. His sister's clothes. His sister, who trusted him enough to stay here. Maya climbed into bed, exhausted but too wired to sleep. Her mind raced through everything that had happened. The blood on her door, Dominic's injury, the attack, her destroyed apartment. Her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Sleep well, Dr. Collins. We'll be seeing you soon. Maya's hands shook as she stared at the message. They had her number. They were still hunting her. She was halfway down the stairs before she realized she was moving, her heart hammering in her chest. She found Dominic in the living room, still dressed, staring into the fireplace with a glass of whiskey in his hand. He turned before she spoke, reading the fear on her face instantly. What happened? Wordlessly, she held out her phone. Dominic's expression went dark, dangerous. He took the phone, read the message, then made a call. Marcus. They have her number. Yes, now. Full trace, and I want her phone cloned to our secure server. 10 minutes. He ended the call, then pulled Maya into his arms without hesitation. She went willingly, pressing her face against his chest, breathing in his scent, whiskey and rain, and something uniquely him. You're safe here, he murmured against her hair. I promise you, Maya, they will never touch you. And wrapped in his arms, in his fortress, with his heart beating steady against her ear, she believed him. Maya woke to the smell of coffee and the sound of male voices downstairs. For a disorienting moment, she forgot where she was. Then reality crashed back. The attack, the threats, Dominic's fortress in the mountains, the message on her phone. She grabbed her phone from the nightstand. 6 a.m. She'd managed maybe 3 hours of sleep, most of it plagued by nightmares of shattered glass and faceless men. But there were no new threats. Just a text from Dominic, sent at 5:30. You're safe. Stay upstairs until I come get you. Maya should have bristled at the command. Instead, she found herself relieved that someone else was making decisions, taking control of the chaos her life had become. She showered quickly, dressed in more of his sister's clothes, jeans and a soft gray Henley, and was braiding her damp hair when a knock sounded at the door. It's me, Dominic called. You decent? Yes. He entered carrying a tray with coffee, eggs, and toast. He'd changed clothes too, wearing dark jeans and a black t-shirt that showed off the breadth of his shoulders. The bandage on his side was visible through the thin fabric. You should still be resting, Maya said, taking the tray. That wound needs at least 48 hours before you start playing action hero again. I've had worse. He sat on the edge of the bed, watching her with an intensity that made her skin warm. How'd you sleep? Terribly. You? I don't sleep much. He rubbed his jaw, and Maya noticed the exhaustion in his eyes, carefully hidden, but there. Marcus traced the text. Burner phone, already destroyed. But we got something better. Maya set down her coffee. What? The men who attacked your clinic weren't local. They flew in from Vancouver 2 days ago, stayed at a hotel downtown under fake names. But they made one mistake. They used the hotel business center to print something. What did they print? A photo. Dominic pulled out his phone, showed her the screen. Maya's stomach dropped. It was her, leaving her apartment building, coffee in hand, completely unaware she was being watched. They've been surveilling you for at least 48 hours, which means they knew about you before I showed up at your clinic. That's impossible. How could they know? That's what I'm trying to figure out. He pocketed his phone, his expression troubled. Either they were already watching the clinic for some other reason, or someone told them you'd be there. No one knew I was working late except... Maya stopped, her blood running cold. Oh, God, Sarah. Who's Sarah? My receptionist. She called in sick yesterday, asked me to close up alone. She never calls in sick. Maya's hands started shaking. What if they got to her? What if they threatened her? Give me her full name and address. Sarah Chen. She lives in Capitol Hill. I don't know the exact address, but it's in my employee files at the clinic. Dominic was already texting. Marcus will check on her. If she's involved, we'll know by noon. And if she's not? If they hurt her to get to me? Then we'll handle it. His hand covered hers, steadying the tremor. But right now, I need you to focus. Think carefully. Has anyone unusual come to your clinic in the past week? Any new clients, strange questions, people who seem too interested in your schedule? Maya forced herself to think past the panic. There was a man. 3 days ago. He brought in a dog, said it had been hit by a car. But the injuries didn't match the story. They were too precise, too clean. I thought maybe he'd hurt the dog himself. What did he look like? Tall, maybe 6 feet. Blonde hair, pale eyes, European accent, Eastern European maybe. He paid cash, gave a fake name. And the dog? I treated it, kept it overnight. He never came back to pick it up. Maya's eyes widened. The dog is still at the clinic. I was going to contact animal control this week. Dominic's expression went dark. They planted an animal at your clinic. Probably bugged the exam room while you were distracted. The violation of it made Maya sick. Her clinic, her safe space, had been compromised days ago. They'd been listening to her conversations, watching her routines, planning their attack while she remained oblivious. I want to go back, she said suddenly. To the clinic. I need to check on the animals, make sure they're okay. Absolutely not. Dominic? No. He stood, his body language leaving no room for argument. That's exactly what they want. You show up, they grab you, and suddenly they have leverage over me. So what? I just hide here forever. Let them destroy my life while I do nothing. You let me destroy them first. The lethal promise in his voice should have frightened her. I've got people working this, Maya. We'll find who's behind it, eliminate the threat, and then you can go back to your life. What if I don't want to go back? The words came out before she could stop them. Dominic went still. What? Maya stood, closing the distance between them. What if I want to help? I'm not helpless, Dominic. I'm smart. I'm capable. And this is my life they're threatening. Let me be part of the solution. It's too dangerous. It's already dangerous. At least this way I have some control. They stared at each other, wills clashing. Finally, Dominic exhaled roughly. You stay close to me. You follow every order without question. And if I say run, you run. Agreed? Agreed. Then get your jacket. We're going to pay a visit to the hotel where those men stayed. Maybe they left something behind that can tell us who hired them. An hour later, Maya sat in the SUV outside the Fairmont Olympic Hotel, watching Dominic and Marcus disappear inside. Despite her brave words earlier, her nerves were shot. Every person who walked past felt like a threat. Every car that slowed made her heart race. Her phone buzzed. Another text from the unknown number. Running won't save you. Neither will he. Attached was a photo. Maya's hand flew to her mouth. It was Dominic, taken this morning, leaving Raven's Peak. They knew where she was. They were watching right now. The SUV door opened and Maya nearly screamed before recognizing Marcus. "We need to move. Now!" "What's wrong?" "They're here, at the hotel. Dominic's engaging, but we need to get you somewhere safer." "I'm not leaving him." "He ordered me to—" A gunshot echoed through the underground parking garage, and Maya's world narrowed to one thought. Dominic. She was out of the SUV before Marcus could stop her, running toward the sound, fear giving her speed she didn't know she had. She found him in the stairwell, bleeding from his shoulder, standing over two unconscious men. His gray eyes blazed with fury when he saw her. "I told you to stay in the car." "You're bleeding." "I've been shot before." "Well, you've got a veterinarian now." Maya grabbed his good arm. "So shut up and let me help you." For the first time since they'd met, Dominic Kane smiled. A real smile, warm and genuine and devastating. "Yes, ma'am." The safe house Marcus took them to was nothing like Raven's Peak. This was purely functional, a nondescript apartment in Belltown with reinforced doors, blackout curtains, and enough weapons to arm a small militia. Maya had stopped asking questions. She simply focused on the task at hand, cleaning Dominic's shoulder wound with steady hands while he sat shirtless on the kitchen chair, watching her work. "Through and through," she murmured, examining both entry and exit wounds. "You're lucky. Missed the bone, missed major arteries, but you need actual antibiotics this time, not veterinary grade." "I have a doctor on call. He'll be here within the hour." Dominic didn't flinch as she cleaned the wound, his pain tolerance almost inhuman. "You shouldn't have left the car. You shouldn't have gotten shot." "Occupational hazard." Maya's hands stilled. "Does it ever bother you? The violence? The constant danger?" "Every day." The honesty in his voice made her look up. His gray eyes held shadows she hadn't noticed before, years of weight and choices that had carved lines into his face. "But someone has to stand between innocent people and monsters. Might as well be someone who's already damned." "You're not damned." "You don't know what I've done, Maya. I know you saved my life. I know you're bleeding because you protected me." She taped gauze over the wound with more force than necessary. "That doesn't sound damned to me. That sounds like a man who actually gives a damn." Before Dominic could respond, Marcus entered with a laptop. His expression was grim. "We've got a problem. Actually, we've got several problems, but this one's urgent." He set the laptop on the table, turned it so they could see. Security footage played on the screen, grainy but clear enough. A woman entering Maya's clinic through the back door, moving through the treatment rooms with obvious familiarity. "Sarah." Maya's heart sank. "When was this taken?" 2 nights ago, 2 a.m. She disabled the alarm, accessed your files, photographed your schedule and patient records. Then she left and reactivated everything like she'd never been there." "Why would she do this?" Maya's voice cracked. "I gave her a job when no one else would. I trusted her." "Money, probably. Or coercion." Marcus pulled up another image. Sarah meeting with a man outside a coffee shop. The same blonde man who'd brought in the injured dog. "They've been working together for at least a week." Dominic's jaw tightened. "Where is she now?" "That's the other problem. She's gone. Apartment cleared out, phone disconnected, no credit card activity. Either she ran or they disposed of her." The casual way Marcus said "disposed of" made Maya's stomach turn. Sarah might have betrayed her, but she didn't deserve to die. "There's more," Marcus continued, pulling up another file. "The men from the hotel. They weren't independent operators. They're part of the Volkov organization." Dominic went very still. "Victor Volkov?" "The same. Apparently, your federal prosecutor client was building a case against his trafficking operation. Volkov's decided to send a message by eliminating you and anyone connected to you." "Victor Volkov," Maya repeated. "Should I know that name?" "Ukrainian crime lord," Dominic said, his voice flat. "Runs trafficking, drugs, and weapons through the Pacific Northwest. He's been untouchable for years. Kills anyone who gets close, intimidates witnesses, bribes officials. The prosecutor I'm protecting is the first person who's ever gotten enough evidence to actually threaten him. And now he's threatening me. Now he's made the mistake of coming after what's mine." Dominic stood, ignoring Maya's protest about his shoulder. "Marcus, I want locations on every Volkov operation in the city. Warehouses, fronts, safe houses, everything." "You're going after him," Maya said. It wasn't a question. "I'm ending this, tonight." "That's insane. You're injured, probably outnumbered, and he sent men to your clinic, to your home. He's had you followed, photographed, threatened." Dominic's eyes blazed with cold fury. "He made this personal, Maya. Now I'm going to show him what happens when you threaten someone under my protection." Maya grabbed his arm. "You could die." "I won't. You don't know that." "Yes, I do." He cupped her face with both hands, forcing her to meet his gaze. "Because I have something to live for now. Someone worth coming back to." The words hung between them, heavy with meaning. Maya's breath caught. "Don't," she whispered. "Don't say things like that when you're about to walk into a war." "I'm saying it because I'm walking into a war." His thumb brushed across her cheekbone. "I need you to know, in case something goes wrong, you're not just a job to me, Maya. You stopped being a job the moment I saw you risk yourself to help a bleeding stranger." "Dominic." He kissed her. Not gentle, not tentative, but with the fierce intensity of a man who might not get another chance. Maya's world narrowed to the heat of his mouth, the strength of his hands, the thundering of her heart against his. When he pulled back, his forehead rested against hers. "Stay here. Stay safe. Let me do what I do best." "Which is?" "Protect what's mine." Then he was gone, Marcus following, leaving Maya alone in the safe house with guards posted outside and fear clawing at her chest. Hours passed like torture. Maya paced, unable to sit still, unable to think about anything except Dominic walking into danger. She checked her phone obsessively, but there were no messages, no updates, just silence. At midnight, her phone finally rang. Unknown number. Her hands shook as she answered. "Hello?" "Dr. Collins." The voice was accented, cultured, terrifying in its calmness. "My name is Victor Volkov. I believe you have something of mine." "I don't know what you're talking about." "Dominic Kane. He's become quite attached to you, I understand. How unfortunate for you both." A pause. "I'm going to make you an offer, Doctor. One chance to save his life." Maya's blood turned to ice. "What do you want?" "You, of course. In exchange for Kane's life. He's at my warehouse right now, along with several of my men. Surrounded, outgunned. He came to kill me, but I'm afraid he's walked into a trap." "You're lying." "Am I? Listen carefully." The sound changed. Background noise, distant voices. Then Dominic's voice, strained with pain. "Maya, don't listen to him." "Don't you dare." The sound cut off abruptly. "You have 1 hour," Volkov said. "Come to the address I'm texting you, alone, or I'll send him back to you in pieces. Your choice, Doctor. Your life for his." The call ended. A text arrived immediately with an address in the industrial district. Maya stared at her phone, her mind racing. This was a trap. Obviously a trap. Dominic would be furious if she walked into it. But she'd heard his voice, heard the pain in it. He'd risked everything to protect her. Now it was her turn to protect him. Maya grabbed her jacket, disabled the alarm system. Sarah had taught her how, ironically, and slipped past the guards with the skills she'd learned sneaking past her parents as a teenager. She had no weapons, no training, no plan beyond trading herself for Dominic's life. But she had something Volkov didn't expect. She had love worth dying for. The warehouse loomed dark and menacing when the taxi dropped her off. Maya's legs trembled as she approached the entrance, but she forced herself forward. The door opened before she could knock. 2 men grabbed her arms, dragged her inside, and there, tied to a chair in the center of the room, bleeding from multiple wounds, was Dominic. His head snapped up when he saw her. The anguish in his eyes nearly broke her. "No," he whispered. "Maya, no." A man stepped from the shadows, tall, silver-haired, impeccably dressed. Viktor Volkov smiled at her like a shark. How touching. True love does exist. He pulled out a gun, pressed it against Dominic's temple. Now, Dr. Collins, let's discuss the terms of your surrender. Maya's eyes locked with Dominic's across the warehouse floor. Blood dripped from a cut above his eye. His shirt was torn and soaked with red, but the fury blazing in his gray eyes was very much alive. "Let her go, Volkov," Dominic said, his voice deadly calm despite the gun pressed to his head. "This is between us." "On the contrary, Kane, this became about her the moment you decided she was worth protecting." Volkov's smile widened as he studied Maya. "Tell me, Doctor, what makes you so special? What did you do to earn the loyalty of Seattle's most dangerous man?" Maya's voice surprised her with its steadiness. "I stitched him up, that's all." "That's all?" Volkov laughed, the sound echoing off concrete walls. "No, I think there's more. I've known Kane for years. Watched him refuse protection contracts worth millions because they didn't meet his moral standards. He's a man of principle, however twisted those principles might be. And now he's willing to die for a veterinarian he met 2 days ago." "3 days," Dominic corrected, "and I'm not planning to die tonight." Bold words for a man in your position. Volkov gestured to his men, 6 of them, all armed, surrounding the room. "You came here alone, walked right into my trap, all because I dangled the right bait. Love makes men stupid, Kane. I thought you were smarter." "I didn't come alone," Dominic said quietly. The lights went out. In the darkness, Maya heard gunfire, shouting, bodies hitting the floor. Someone grabbed her arm. She started to scream, then recognized Marcus's voice in her ear. "Stay down, Doc. This is about to get messy." The emergency lights kicked on, bathing everything in red. Marcus had already taken down 2 of Volkov's men. More of Dominic's team poured through entrances Maya hadn't even noticed. 6, 8, 10 men, all moving with military precision. Volkov still had the gun to Dominic's head, but his composure had cracked. "Call them off, Kane, or I'll kill you right now." "No, you won't." Dominic's voice was perfectly calm. "Because the moment you pull that trigger, my men will tear you apart, and you're too much of a coward to die, Viktor. It's why you've stayed hidden for years, letting others do your dirty work." "You arrogant!" Dominic moved. Even injured, even tied to a chair, he moved with lethal speed. His head snapped back, cracking into Volkov's nose. The gun went off, the bullet hitting concrete instead of flesh. Dominic threw his weight sideways, chair and all, taking Volkov down with him. Maya watched in frozen horror as they fought on the ground, both men grappling for the gun. Then Marcus was there, hauling Volkov up, slamming him against a support beam hard enough to leave a dent. "Boss," Marcus called, "what do you want me to do with him?" Dominic stood slowly, pain evident in every movement, but his eyes were ice cold as he stared at Volkov. "He threatened an innocent woman, destroyed her clinic, invaded her home, tried to kill her." "I was just sending a message." Volkov spat blood. "Nothing personal." "You made it personal." Dominic walked closer, each step deliberate. "You see, Viktor, I have rules. I don't kill innocent people. I don't traffic in human lives, and I never, ever threaten someone under my protection." He stopped inches from Volkov's face. "You broke all 3 rules." "So what? You'll kill me? That makes you just like me." "No." Dominic pulled out his phone, made a call. "It makes me a man who keeps his promises. Agent Morrison, he's all yours." The warehouse doors opened again. This time, federal agents poured in, led by a woman in a FBI jacket. She looked at Volkov with satisfaction. "Viktor Volkov, you're under arrest for human trafficking, racketeering, and attempted murder of a federal witness." She nodded to Dominic. "Good work, Kane." "Just doing my job." Dominic's eyes found Maya across the room. "Making sure the right people get protected." As the agents led Volkov away, still spitting threats and curses, Marcus cut Dominic free from the chair. He stood on unsteady legs, and Maya was there immediately, ducking under his arm to support his weight. "You came for me," she whispered. "You knew it was a trap, and you came anyway." "Of course I did." His hand cupped her face, thumb tracing her cheekbone. "You're mine to protect, remember?" "I think I did some protecting tonight, too." "You shouldn't have left the safe house." "You're welcome." Despite everything, the pain, the blood, the violence they'd just survived, Dominic smiled. "Thank you for being reckless and brave and completely insane. I learned from the best." Marcus cleared his throat. "Hate to interrupt this moment, but boss, you're bleeding from at least 3 places and probably have a concussion. We should get you to a hospital." "No hospitals. Too many questions." "Then let me take you back to Raven's Peak," Maya said firmly. "I'll patch you up properly this time, with actual medical supplies, not veterinary equipment." "I like the sound of that." They made it outside, into the cool Seattle night. Dawn was breaking over the city, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold. Police cars and federal vehicles filled the parking lot, agents swarming the warehouse. "It's really over?" Maya asked, watching them work. "It's over," Dominic confirmed. "Volkov will spend the rest of his life in prison. His organization is dismantled. The prosecutor's case is solid now. We recovered enough evidence tonight to put away every major player in his network." "And Sarah?" Marcus answered. "Found her in a motel in Tacoma. She's cooperating with authorities. Turns out they threatened her younger brother. He's in college. They said they'd kill him if she didn't help. She never wanted to betray you." Maya's anger softened slightly. Fear made people do desperate things. She understood that now better than ever. The SUV ride back to Raven's Peak was quiet. Dominic dozed against her shoulder, finally allowing himself to rest. Maya watched the sunrise, feeling the weight of the past 3 days settle over her. Her life would never be the same. Her clinic had been damaged, her sense of safety shattered, her carefully controlled world turned upside down. But as Dominic's hand found hers, fingers intertwining, Maya realized something. Maybe she didn't want her old life back. Maybe she wanted this instead. Danger and protection, fear and safety, all wrapped up in a man who'd kill to keep her alive. "We're here," Marcus announced, pulling through the gates of Raven's Peak. Dominic stirred, lifting his head. His gray eyes found Maya's, and the intensity in them stole her breath. "Come inside," he said softly. "Let me show you what protection really means." And Maya, for the first time since that bloody handprint appeared on her clinic door, felt like she was finally home. 3 months later, Maya stood in the doorway of her clinic, watching the morning sun stream through the new front windows. The renovations had taken 6 weeks, but Paws and Claws looked better than ever. Expanded treatment rooms, state-of-the-art equipment, and a security system that would make Fort Knox jealous. Courtesy of Dominic Kane, of course. "Dr. Collins?" Her new receptionist, Jennifer, poked her head around the corner. "Your 9 o'clock is here. Mrs. Patterson with Rufus for his checkup." "Thanks, Jen. I'll be right there." Maya grabbed her white coat, smiling at the embroidered name that now read, Dr. Maya Collins, DVM, owner and chief veterinarian. Below it, in smaller letters, Paws and Claws Veterinary Clinic and Animal Sanctuary. The sanctuary had been Dominic's idea. After everything that happened, he'd insisted on funding an expansion that would allow Maya to rescue and rehabilitate abused animals. The dog that the blonde man had planted, a sweet German shepherd named Apollo, had become their first permanent resident when no owner came forward. Now Apollo served as the clinic's unofficial mascot and, thanks to Dominic's training, a surprisingly effective guard dog. The morning passed in a blur of appointments. Rufus's checkup went well. A cat needed vaccinations, and a nervous rabbit required reassurance more than medical attention. It was routine, normal, exactly what Maya had built her career on. She loved every minute of it. At noon, the door chimed. Maya looked up from her paperwork to find Dominic leaning against the reception desk, looking devastatingly handsome in dark jeans and a leather jacket. His shoulder had healed completely, leaving only a faint scar that matched the one on his ribs. "Mr. Kane," Jennifer said with a knowing smile. "She's in her office." "Thanks, Jen." He found Maya buried in inventory lists, her reading glasses perched on her nose. She didn't look up when he entered. "If you're here to install more security cameras, I'm putting my foot down. I already have 17. 18, actually." Marcus added one in the storage room last week. Dominic closed the door behind him. And I'm not here about security. Maya finally looked up, her heart doing that annoying flutter it always did when she saw him. 3 months, and the effect hadn't diminished at all. If anything, it had grown stronger. Then why are you here? I thought you had that meeting with the new client. Rescheduled it. He moved around her desk, pulled her to her feet, and kissed her thoroughly. When he pulled back, Maya's glasses were foggy. I'm here because I have something to show you. Dominic Kane, if this is another surprise security upgrade, it's not. He took her hand. Trust me? Maya studied his face. The man who'd collapsed at her clinic door 3 months ago had become the center of her world. They'd spent countless evenings at Raven's Peak, talking until dawn about everything and nothing. He'd met her mother. That had been terrifying and wonderful. She'd met his sister Rachel, who'd hugged Maya and whispered, "Thank you for making him human again." She'd fallen completely, irrevocably, in love with him. And unless she was completely misreading the signs, he felt the same way. Always, she said softly. I trust you. They drove north into the mountains, the familiar route to Raven's Peak, but instead of turning into his driveway, Dominic continued another mile up the road. He turned onto a private drive Maya had never noticed before. The property that emerged from the trees took her breath away. It was smaller than Raven's Peak, but no less beautiful, a 2-story home built of stone and timber with huge windows overlooking the valley. But what caught Maya's attention was the building beside it, a veterinary clinic, brand new, fully equipped, with a sign that read, Peak Mountain Animal Hospital. Maya's hand flew to her mouth. Dominic, what is this? Your clinic in the city is perfect for routine care, he said, pulling her close. But I thought you might want a place where you could work on the rescue side, somewhere quiet, away from the city, somewhere safe. You built me a clinic. I built us a home. The clinic came with it. He turned her to face him, his gray eyes intense. Maya, these past 3 months have been the best of my life. Coming home to you, watching you rebuild your practice, seeing you turn something terrible into something beautiful. It's changed me. Dominic, let me finish. His hands cupped her face. I've spent years protecting people, keeping everyone at arm's length, never letting anyone get close enough to matter. Then you walked into my life with your stubborn courage and your gentle heart, and everything changed. Maya's eyes filled with tears. I love you, Maya Collins. I love your strength and your compassion. I love how you treat injured animals with the same care you treated an injured criminal. I love how you risked everything to save me, even though we barely knew each other. His thumb brushed away a tear that had escaped. I want to spend the rest of my life protecting you, supporting you, loving you. He pulled a small box from his jacket pocket, opened it to reveal a stunning ring, a sapphire surrounded by diamonds, deep blue like the mountain sky. Marry me. Build a life with me. Let me be yours, and you be mine. For real, this time. Maya's heart felt too big for her chest. Yes. God, yes, Dominic. I love you too. I think I started falling for you the moment you told me to leave you bleeding in that alley. That's concerning. You're concerning, and wonderful, and mine. Always yours. He slid the ring onto her finger, then kissed her with enough heat to make her forget they were standing outside in broad daylight. When they finally broke apart, Maya was breathless and dizzy and happier than she'd ever been. Can I see inside? She asked, nodding toward the clinic. It's yours. You can do whatever you want with it. The clinic was perfect. 3 exam rooms, a surgery suite, recovery kennels, even a small apartment upstairs for overnight emergencies. Every detail had been carefully planned, from the specialized equipment to the comfortable waiting area. There's space for a partner, too, Dominic said, watching her explore. I thought maybe you'd want to bring on another vet eventually, build something bigger than just a practice. A sanctuary, Maya breathed. A real one, where we can take the animals no one else wants. Exactly. She turned to him, this dangerous man who'd become her safe harbor. How did I get so lucky? I'm the lucky one. You saved my life, Maya. Not just that night in the clinic, but every day since. You made me believe I could be more than just a weapon, that I could build something instead of just destroying threats. You were always more than that. I just helped you see it. They stood in the empty clinic, wrapped in each other's arms, planning a future neither of them had imagined possible 3 months ago. That evening, they sat on the porch of their new home, because Maya had already started thinking of it as theirs, watching the sun set over the mountains. Apollo dozed at their feet, finally comfortable in his forever home. "What happened to Viktor Volkov?" Maya asked, her head on Dominic's shoulder. "Federal prison, maximum security. He'll never see freedom again." Most of his organization took plea deals. They're testifying against everyone involved in the trafficking ring. And the prosecutor? Safe, living her life without looking over her shoulder. Dominic's arm tightened around Maya. "That's what I do. I give people their lives back." "You gave me mine," Maya said softly, "even though you're the one who put it in danger in the first place. Are you ever going to let me live that down?" "Never." She tilted her face up for a kiss. "But I'll love you anyway." Marcus called later that evening with news. Sarah Chen had entered witness protection and was starting over in another state. Her brother was safe, finishing his degree. The blonde man with the fake dog had been arrested in Vancouver, part of Volkov's inner circle, every loose end tied up, every threat neutralized. Maya's life had been turned upside down by a bleeding stranger and a bloody handprint. She'd lost her sense of safety, her peaceful routine, her carefully controlled world. But she'd gained something infinitely more valuable. She'd gained a partner who would move heaven and earth to keep her safe, a love forged in danger and tempered by trust, a future that promised adventure and stability in equal measure. As stars emerged over the mountains and Dominic pulled her close, Maya smiled. Some mistakes were worth making, some strangers were worth saving, and some love stories began with blood and ended with forever.